Hello, my dear English learners. Welcome back to Slow English Stories. Many learners say English is too fast. They hear words, but they do not understand. I know this feeling. It is frustrating. Today's video is Slow English. Listening. Greta Thunberg, the girl who fights for the planet. This story is not only about English, it is also about courage. You will hear how a quiet girl from Sweden became the voice of millions to protect our planet. Every Slow English story is carefully written for beginners. Short sentences, clear words, step by step. By the end, you will understand more English and feel more confident. So, subscribe, activate the bell, and come back every day. Now, let's begin the inspiring story of Greta Thunberg. Greta Thunberg was born in Stockholm, Sweden, in 2003. Stockholm is a city with clean air, forests, and many islands. In winter, lakes freeze and children skate. In summer, the sun shines almost all night. As a child, Greta was quiet and different. She spoke little, preferred to listen, and often sat alone at school. While other children played loudly, she moved calmly and shyly. Greta loved nature deeply. She spent hours in the forest near her home, feeling peace among tall trees, small animals, and birds singing. The forest made her happy. At school, Greta was a good student. She took things seriously and liked meaningful topics, while others played games. When she was 8, something changed her life. A teacher showed the class a video about climate change. Greta saw ice breaking and falling into the ocean, polar bears starving on shrinking ice, and oceans full of plastic killing fish and birds. She felt very sad. Her heart hurt for the animals and the planet. She asked, "Why is this happening?" The teacher explained, "People make too much pollution. They burn coal and oil and cut down forests." That night, Greta could not sleep. She thought about the melting ice and dirty water. Afraid for the earth, she wanted to understand more. Greta read books and watched educational videos. She learned that the earth was warming because people burned coal for electricity, oil for cars, and gas for heat. This pollution trapped heat like a blanket around the planet. The facts frightened her. The North and South poles were melting quickly. Melting ice raised sea levels, which could flood cities and islands. Many animals were losing their homes. Greta thought, "We are destroying our only home." She worried about the future and felt that someone had to act. But she was just a small, shy child. How could she help the planet? Even without answers, Greta knew one thing. She cared deeply for the earth, the animals, and the future. Maybe caring was the first step to change. The question stayed in her heart. How can I help the planet? This simple thought would transform her life and lead her to become one of the world's most recognized climate activists. When Greta was 15, she made an important decision. She decided to act. It was August 2018. That summer was very hot in Sweden. Forests were burning. Smoke filled the air. The sky was gray, and people coughed when they breathed. Greta looked at the news and felt angry and sad. Adults are not doing enough, she thought. They talk about climate change, but they do not act fast enough. Greta wanted to do something, but she was only one girl. What could she do? Then she had an idea. She would protest, but she would protest alone. On a Friday morning, Greta prepared a wooden sign. She used black paint and wrote in Swedish, "School strike for the climate." In English, this means school strike for climate. That day, instead of going to school, Greta walked to the Swedish parliament. This was the place where politicians made important laws. She sat down on the ground near the entrance. She held her sign in front of her. Beside her, she placed some papers with facts about climate change. Greta was completely alone. People walked past her. Some looked curious, but most kept walking. A few stopped, asked questions, or took photos. Greta felt nervous. Her heart was beating fast. She was shy and not used to being in public. But she stayed. A journalist noticed her and asked, "Why are you not in school?" Greta replied, "I am striking for the climate. Adults are stealing my future. I will not go to school until adults take climate change seriously." The journalist wrote an article about the quiet girl with the sign. Soon, more people in Sweden read her story. Reactions were mixed. Some criticized Greta. They said she should be in school. She is just a child. But others admired her. They said, "This girl is brave. She is telling the truth." Greta did not stop. Every Friday, she returned to the parliament. Week after week, she sat with her sign. Sometimes it rained, sometimes the sun was hot, but Greta stayed. At first, she was alone. But slowly, other students began to join her. One came, then 5, then 20. The group grew bigger each week. People began to call the movement Fridays for Future. Students in other towns, then in other countries, started to strike on Fridays too. They shared photos of themselves holding signs. Schools strike for climate. Greta's small protest was becoming something much larger. Greta's courage gave other young people courage. They realized they also had voices. They also wanted a safe future. Soon, strikes were happening in Germany, France, the UK, and many other countries. Within months, tens of thousands of students were protesting around the world. Some adults continued to criticize. They said, children should not worry about politics. But Greta answered strongly, "We are children, but this is our future. If adults will not protect it, then we must speak." Her simple idea, sitting with a sign in front of Parliament, grew into a global movement. What began with one girl became millions of voices. Greta proved that even the smallest action, if done with determination, can inspire the world. Greta's simple protest became something huge. What started with one girl sitting outside the Swedish parliament quickly spread across the world. Students in many countries read about her strike. They saw photos of the girl with the sign. They thought, if she can do it, maybe I can too. Soon, children and teenagers everywhere began their own climate strikes. In September 2018, Greta was invited to speak at a climate conference. She was nervous. Her hands shook. She was shy and young, standing in front of powerful adults. But she had something important to say. "You say you love your children above all else," Greta told the leaders. "And yet you are stealing their future in front of their very eyes." Her words were strong. Her voice was clear. People listened carefully. A video of Greta's speech went viral on the internet. Millions of people watched it. They shared it with friends and family. Suddenly, Greta's face and voice were known around the world. After that, invitations began to arrive. Greta was asked to speak at important events in Europe and beyond. She met presidents, prime ministers, and world leaders. Reporters followed her. Cameras filmed her speeches. In 2019, Greta traveled across the ocean to New York. She went to the United Nations Climate Summit. This was one of the biggest moments of her young life. Greta stood in front of the most powerful people in the world. Leaders from many nations were there. She looked at them with anger and sadness. Then she spoke. "How dare you? You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words." The room became silent. Everyone was listening to this teenage girl from Sweden. She continued, "We are in the beginning of a mass extinction, and all you can talk about is money and fairy tales of eternal economic growth." Her words were like fire. Some people felt shocked. Others felt uncomfortable. But many felt inspired. Greta's speech was powerful because it was honest. She was not afraid to speak the truth. The video of her UN speech spread across every corner of the internet. Newspapers printed her words. Television showed her face. Greta had become a symbol of the climate movement. Meanwhile, the Fridays for Future movement kept growing. Every Friday, millions of young people marched through the streets of their cities. They carried signs with messages like, "There is no planet B," and "Listen to the science." They sang, they shouted, and they demanded action. It was not only students anymore. Parents, teachers, and older people also joined. They wanted to show that climate change was a problem for everyone, not only for children. Greta inspired all of them. She had begun as a quiet girl who sat alone with a sign. Now she was the voice of a generation. But Greta herself stayed humble. She never wanted the movement to be about her. She often repeated, "I don't want you to listen to me. I want you to listen to the science." She reminded people that she was just one teenager. The real power was in the facts and in the millions of people demanding change. Greta showed the world that even one small voice can grow into a chorus. Her courage gave others courage. Her honesty gave others hope. And her school strike, which started with silence outside Parliament, had turned into a global call for action. Today, Greta continues her fight for the planet. She is no longer the quiet child who is afraid to speak. She has grown into a strong young woman who is not afraid to use her voice. Over the years, Greta has traveled around the world. She has met presidents, prime ministers, and leaders of international organizations. She has spoken at parliaments, universities, and great conferences. She has stood on big stages and looked into the eyes of millions of people, reminding them that the time to act is now. But Greta's message has always stayed the same. We must act now. We cannot wait. She repeats this again and again because she knows that the planet cannot wait for slow promises. Of course, Greta has faced criticism. Some people say she is too young to speak about such serious issues. Others say she should be in school instead of protesting. Some even try to ignore her words because they are uncomfortable. But Greta does not stop. She answers calmly, "I am doing this because adults are not doing enough. This is my future. This is everyone's future." Her courage and her honesty are what make her message powerful. Millions of young people have been inspired by Greta's example. They call themselves climate activists. They organize school strikes, marches, and protests. They plant trees, clean rivers, and try to use less plastic in their daily lives. They raise their voices online and in their communities. They show that children and teenagers can also be leaders. Because of Greta and the Fridays for Future movement, schools now teach more about climate change. Teachers explain what global warming means and what actions can help. Companies are beginning to look at how they produce goods and how they can pollute less. Governments in many countries are creating new environmental laws, such as banning plastic bags or investing in renewable energy. But not all changes are happening fast enough.
Greta knows this very well. Sometimes she feels frustrated because politicians still talk more than they act, but she continues to fight because she believes that hope is stronger than despair. Every movement starts with one person, Greta says. If I can make a difference, anyone can. Her parents are very proud of her. They say, Greta found her voice. She is no longer the quiet child she used to be. They remember the shy little girl who once sat alone in the school cafeteria. Now they see her speaking with courage to the whole world. Today, when Greta speaks, the world listens. She has shown that age does not matter. She has shown that one voice can grow into millions. She has shown that one person can change everything. The quiet girl from Sweden became a leader. She turned her fear into action. She turned her anger into hope. And she gave other young people the strength to do the same. Greta's story is not finished. She is still very young. She has many more years to fight for the planet. But her message is already clear and powerful. The future belongs to those who act today. Around the world, young people have heard this message. They are acting in their schools, their homes, and their communities. They are fighting for clean air, for healthy forests, for safe oceans, and for a livable future. And it all started with one girl, one sign, and one Friday morning in Stockholm.
This is the inspiring story of Greta Thunberg. From a quiet child to a global leader. From fear to courage. From one person to millions. The more you listen, the more you understand. And the more you hear real inspiring stories, the stronger you feel. Greta's story teaches us that anyone can make a difference. You don't need to be perfect, you just need to start. Come back every day for another slow English story. Each story will help you improve your English and inspire your life. Subscribe, activate the bell, like this video, and share with friends. Thank you for listening. See you tomorrow with another inspiring story.